beautiful Nature Style Aquarium, made by none other than world-class aquascaper Takayuki Fukada, is the store's pride and joy. Many people take a trip just to see this tank. It's bold, it's beautiful, but it's been hit with an algae bloom. It seemed to come out of nowhere. We don't know who to blame, everyone's pointing fingers, it was definitely Lewis, and the boss isn't happy. Luckily, we have some special creatures on hand that can swoop in and save the day. This is the Siamese Algae Eater. They're great at keeping your aquarium algae free. However, just because they can, doesn't mean you always should. Today we're going to see what happens when we add them to our Nature Style Aquarium. We'll find out what makes them happy and discover whether they're the right addition for your tank. Siamese Algae Eaters, or SAEs for short, are native to the rivers and streams across Thailand and Southeast Asia. They're easy to spot with their slim silver body and bold black stripe that runs all the way from their nose to their tail. They're active swimmers and spend most of their time darting around looking for food in a group. A small group of Siamese Algae Eaters need at least a 75-litre tank. They're fast, active swimmers and strong jumpers, so a lid is recommended, or else you may come home to a piece of fish jerky on the carpet. They also won't stay small forever, growing up to 15 centimeters. These big boys get chunky. You'll need to keep that in mind if upgrading to a larger tank isn't an option. You can always also be prepared to rehome them once they outgrow their tank. SAEs, especially when young, will eat string algae and soft floating algae. What they won't touch is your hard, flat algae that sticks to your glass or plant leaves, as they don't have the sucker mouths for that kind of job. That will be left up to you. Unless you join forces with plecos or ottocinclus catfish. They make a dynamic algae duo. But here's the debate. Some fish keepers say that as they age, they get lazier with the algae and prefer regular food. Like the big boys at the gym, I suspect that being so big requires a bit more protein shakes, so don't expect a lifetime cleaning contract. Think of them more as a short-term algae control, not a forever cleanup crew. SAEs are generally peaceful when young and mix well with community fish like tetras, rasboras, barbs, corridoras and gouramis. That said, once they get bigger, some fish keepers report them turning a bit territorial, especially if they don't have enough space. So while they're usually a safe pick for a community tank, keep an eye on them as they mature, and avoid housing them with very aggressive species or in cramped setups. One of the most common mistakes with Siamese Algae Eaters is mixing them up for another fish. Some people mistake them for the flying fox, but flying foxes have a golden line above the black stripe and orange in their fins. Others confuse them with the Chinese Algae Eater, but those have sucker mouths, grow nearly twice the size and can latch on to their tank mates. Not cool. And then there's the silver flying fox that's completely silver with a black mark at the back of its tail. It's definitely not the correct species. Real SAEs have clear fins, a bold stripe that runs straight through their tail to their face, and no sucker mouth. Here's also a couple of pro tips to remember. Buy them in groups. They're more confident and active when kept in small groups of around 6+, not just the single fish. Algae also isn't just enough. Even when they're young and actively grazing, always supplement with wafers, veggies or flakes so they don't starve. They're plant safe mostly. They won't eat healthy plants, but if your plants are weak or melting, they might pick at the soft tissue. And also remember, again, they're a long-term commitment. They can live up to 10 years in a well-kept tank, so they're not just a quick fix unless you plan for when they get older. So now that you're well introduced to the SAE friends, let me show you how they handled the algae bloom that mysteriously erupted in our Nature Style tank. Full disclosure, at first we did try to use hydrogen peroxide, but it kinda ended up melting some of the moss. Hoping Steve the boss didn't notice, we switched tactics and added 15 Siamese Algae Eaters instead. Also, I wasn't kidding when I said they jump. Now, a week later, the difference is huge. The crew of 15 bad boys that we've put in there have been hard at work, and now that they're teamed up with the ottocinclus, even the spot algae is under control. The tank finally looks like it's sort of finding balance again. The only downside is that we've really got to hope the moss grows back. Steve definitely noticed. If you've enjoyed this and wanted to dive deeper into the care of fish and plants, subscribe and follow along. I'm building a full library for you nerds, so I'm building a full library of profiles to help you choose the right species, avoid mistakes, keep your tanks balanced, and become the ultimate fish nerd. For anyone wanting their own Siamese Algae Eater cleanup crew, I've left a link in the description where you can pick some up from us. But if you'd rather see what a fully sized Siamese Algae Eater looks like before committing, we've got some big boys on display at the store, so come on in and have a look. If you've got a fish you'd like me to cover next, drop it in the comments. It might just be the next profile on the channel. Thanks so much for watching.